The forbidden forest smelled of ancient ice and decay. Rough ropes bit into my wrists, too tight, tied by hands that did not tremble. My father, Tobias. The man who should have protected me was the one who tied me to the sacrifice stake like a lamb for slaughter. He didn't even look into my eyes when he finished. He merely mumbled something about the greater good and walked away, leaving me alone at the edge of the forest that everyone feared. My name is Nyla, and tonight I was going to die. The beast had started attacking 3 moons ago. First, it was the patrollers who disappeared. Then, entire warriors. And then the stories began circulating through the camp like fire in dry straw. A colossal creature, half wolf, half nightmare, eyes that glowed like molten gold in the darkness. No one who faced it came back alive. Alpha Desmond called an assembly last night. His voice echoed through the hall with an authority no one dared question. The beast demands tribute, a sacrifice to appease its hunger. Only then will our people be safe. And then his eyes found mine across the crowd. And I knew, before he even spoke, before my stepmother Giselle even smiled that thin, venomous smile, I knew it would be me. It would always be me. The useless Omega, the daughter who was left over when my mother died, the burden Tobias carried for 23 years, without love, without pride, without even pretending he wanted me. Giselle whispered something in Desmond's ear. He nodded, and my sentence was sealed. Now I was here, alone. The sun had set an hour ago, and the darkness of the forbidden forest was absolute. Ancient trees towered like the fingers of corpses, twisted branches blocking the stars. The air was heavy, thick with the smell of rotten moss and something else, something primal, wild, dangerous. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it, each beat a reminder that I was still alive, for now. I tried to pull free one last time, but the ropes only cut deeper. Warm blood ran down my fingers, dripping onto the cold earth. The smell of iron spread, and somewhere in the darkness, something moved. I froze. I didn't breathe. I just listened. Branches cracking under immense weight. Deep breathing. Almost a low growl. And then, emerging from the shadows as if the shadows themselves had created him, I saw it. The beast. It was bigger than the stories told. The size of a horse, maybe larger. Fur that looked like black silver under the faint moonlight, gleaming with an almost metallic hue. Muscles moved beneath the coat like steel cables. And the eyes, golden, incandescent, fixed on me with an intensity that made my soul want to hide. I should have screamed. I should have begged. But when I opened my mouth, no sound came out. I just watched as the creature approached, each step deliberate, measured. It stopped less than a meter from me, so close I could feel the heat radiating from its massive body, so close that its warm breath touched my skin. I closed my eyes. I waited for the pain, for the end, but it didn't come. Instead, I felt it, muzzle pressing against my neck, sniffing, deeply, as if trying to decipher something in my scent. I opened my eyes. The beast had backed away. Not much, but enough, and it was looking at me differently now, not as prey, but like recognition. His golden eyes, which up close were even more impossible, carried something I hadn't expected to see. Intelligence. Human. Conscious. Confused. "You won't kill me." My voice came out as a broken whisper. An affirmation, not a question. Because somehow, looking into those eyes, I knew. The beast tilted its massive head, and then it did something that shattered everything I thought I knew about it. It lowered itself, gently, and began to bite the ropes that held me. Not my hands. Not my flesh. The ropes. Teeth that could have snapped me in half, worked with impossible precision, severing fiber by fiber until my hands were free. I fell forward, legs too weak to hold me. The beast didn't let me fall completely. Its massive body positioned itself, supporting me. Heat radiated from it, a strange, inexplicable safety. "What are you?" I asked, looking into those golden eyes. For a moment, a shadow of pain crossed its irises. Then the beast moved away, looking toward the forest, and began to walk. It stopped, looked back, waiting, inviting me to follow. All logic told me to run, to return to the camp, to say I survived. But where would I return to? To Giselle, who hated me? To Tobias, who sold me? To Desmond, who condemned me? There was nothing for me there. There never was. So I got up on trembling legs and followed the beast into the forbidden forest. We walked for hours. The creature moved with silent grace, but constantly slowed down to wait for me. When I tripped on a root, it came back, positioning itself so I could lean on its flank. When the cold began to make me shiver, it guided me to an area protected from the wind, taking care of me. A monster that should have devoured me was taking care of me. Finally, we reached a clearing where stone ruins stood, ancient, covered in moss and vines, but still recognizable as a structure, a temple perhaps, or a watchtower. The beast guided me inside, where still intact walls offered protection. There was firewood piled in a corner, dry, prepared, as if someone had been here before, many times. I looked at the beast, which lay down in the doorway, blocking the wind, watching me with those impossible eyes. You live here, I realized aloud. How long? The beast didn't answer. Of course not. It was a wolf. Wolves didn't talk. But something in its eyes. Something told me it understood every word. I found flint near the wood. My hands trembled, fingers still bleeding from the ropes. But I managed to light a fire. Heat spread. Golden light danced on the stone walls. And that's when I saw symbols, engraved in the stone behind the firewood, hidden by the darkness until now. Ancient runes. Some I recognized from books my grandmother showed me as a child, before she died, before Giselle burned everything that remained of her. Magic, I whispered, tracing the lines with trembling fingers. This is a protection circle. The beast lifted its head, interested, alert. I continued exploring. The ruins were larger than they looked. Hidden passages, secret chambers, and in one of them, hidden in a niche in the wall, I found a book, leather-bound, old, but preserved. I opened it carefully. The first page had a name, Diary of Morgana, Guardian of the Northern Coven. My heart stopped. Morgana, the witch everyone said had died in the Great Fire, 20 years ago, when the old king disappeared, when Desmond took power. I started reading, and every word destroyed everything I thought I knew about my world. I was forced to do the unthinkable. Desmond threatened my coven, my family. I had no choice. The curse I cast on King Cale Winterborn was my greatest sin. I transformed him into a beast. I imprisoned his human form, all so Desmond could take the throne that was never his. My hands were shaking so much I almost dropped the book. I continued, but I left an out. There is always an out. The curse can only be broken by a true mate, someone who sees beyond the beast, who accepts the man within. If Cale finds his mate, if she accepts him completely, he will be free. I looked at the beast, which was watching me with a new intensity, with a hope that shouldn't exist in the eyes of an animal. You are him, I whispered. You are King Cale. The beast stood up, walked toward me, and for the first time, made a sound that wasn't a growl. It was a groan. Pain. Frustration. 20 years trapped in a body that wasn't his. 20 years watching his kingdom be ruled by the man who betrayed him. 20 years alone. Why are they hunting you? I asked, although I knew the answer. Desmond knows you are still alive, knows that as long as you exist, you are a threat. The beast nodded, a movement so human it broke my heart. And I was the sacrifice, I continued, the pieces clicking into place. Not to appease you, to kill you. Desmond hoped you would devour me, and then the warriors would come. They would find the beast distracted, vulnerable, and they would finish the job that started 20 years ago. But it didn't work, because Cale didn't devour me, because... Why did you spare me? I asked. The beast moved closer. Its muzzle touched my hand, gentle, almost reverent, and I felt it. Through the touch, a pulse of recognition that echoed in my bones. Mate. The word surfaced in my mind as if it had always been there. Unspoken. Felt. He recognized me. Even in wolf form. Even cursed. His wolf knew. I was his destined mate. Oh, I sighed, not knowing what else to say. The book was still in my hands. I looked at it again, at the last lines on the page. If you are reading this, it means there is still hope. Look for me in the Valley of Mist. I will be waiting. And together, we can undo what has been done. Morgana was alive, hidden, waiting. And now I had a choice. I could run away, find another camp, Start over. Pretend none of this happened. Or I could help. A king I never knew. A man trapped in a nightmare for 2 decades. A mate destiny put in my path at the most unlikely moment. I looked at Kale, at the golden eyes full of pain and hope, and I made my decision. We will find Morgana, I said. We will break your curse. The beast closed its eyes, and when it opened them again, something had changed. Determination, gratitude, and something warmer, something that made me blush despite the cold. I had come to the forest expecting to die. Instead, I found purpose. I found truth. And maybe, just maybe, I found my destiny. The night was still long. The journey would be even longer. But for the first time since I could remember, I didn't feel like a disposable burden. I felt like someone who mattered. And that, I realized, was worth more than any crown. I slept little that first night, not out of fear. Strangely, with the beast lying at the entrance of the ruins, blocking any threat, I felt safer than I had in years sleeping under my father's roof. It was my mind that wouldn't stop, spinning with revelations, processing truths that turned everything upside down. Alpha Desmond, whom everyone respected, was a traitor. The king everyone thought dead was alive, trapped in monstrous form. And I, the disposable Omega, was somehow the key to undoing 20 years of injustice. When the sun finally broke through the trees, I got up with renewed purpose. Morgana's diary was safe inside my tunic, close to my heart. Kale was already awake, watching me with those golden eyes that seemed to see beyond the surface. We need a plan, I said, more to organize my own thoughts. The Valley of Mist is in the northern mountains. It's at least a 3-day journey, and Desmond will realize I didn't die. He'll send hunters. The beast stood up, shaking its silvery coat. It walked to a wall of the ruins and pressed its muzzle against a specific stone. The ancient mechanism groaned. A panel moved, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside, supplies shrouded in a slight blue mist. Stasis magic. Dried food perfectly preserved by time. Water skins that never evaporated. A map drawn on leather. You prepared? I realized, astonished. Morgana left this for you. Kale nodded. He knew they were there, but without thumbs, he could never access them. He spent decades guarding the resource for when he would have hands again, for when he had help. I studied the map. The Valley of Mist was marked with a moon symbol. Between here and there, dangerous territory, deep forest, mountain passes, and at several points, red markings, Desmond's patrols. Kale knew the enemy's movements. He had observed, learned. Even as a beast, his strategist's mind remained sharp. We'll need to avoid these routes. I traced an alternative path with my finger. It's longer, but safer. The beast nodded, approving, and something warm spread in my chest when I realized he trusted my judgment. We left when the sun was high enough to light the way. Kale led, his massive body forging a path through the dense vegetation. I followed, trying to keep up despite legs that still trembled from exhaustion. He noticed, of course. He slowed his pace. He stopped in clearings to let me rest. Once, when I stumbled on a hidden route, he was there instantly, body positioned to support me. In the middle of the afternoon, we stopped near a stream to refill water. As I filled the skins, I watched Kale. He was tense, ears rotating, muzzle raised, sniffing the air. "What is it?" I whispered. He growled low, a warning. And then I heard it. Voices. Distant, but approaching. She can't have gone far. The beast must have left the remains somewhere. My blood ran cold. I recognized the voice. Garrick. Desmond's beta. His most loyal hunter. Kale pushed me gently with his muzzle, indicating thick vegetation. A hiding place. I obeyed, crawling into a thicket. My breath held. Through the leaves, I saw 3 warriors entering the clearing. Garrick leading, his expression stone. He was large even for an alpha. Battle scars covered his arms, and his eyes, cold, calculating, like Desmond's. "Here," one of the warriors pointed. "Fresh tracks. 2 sets. 1 human, 1 wolf." Garrick crouched, studying the marks. "The Omega is alive, and traveling with the beast." He laughed, a humorless sound. Desmond was right. The creature didn't kill her. Interesting. My heart was pounding so loud I was sure they could hear it. But then Kale moved. Not hiding. Emerging. From the shadows on the other side of the clearing, like a ghost of silver and fury, the warriors spun around, weapons drawn, but it was Garrick who spoke first, and his words shocked me. "Your Majesty." The word came out laden with scorn. "So it's true. You're still in there, aren't you? Trapped in that pathetic carcass," Cale growled, a sound that made the earth itself tremble. Desmond wondered. Garrick continued, circling slowly. "If there was still a man inside the beast, or if the curse had consumed you completely. Now we know." He smiled. "Cruel. You're protecting the Omega. Your mate, I presume. How romantic." I couldn't stay hidden, not while Cale faced 3 warriors alone. I stepped out of the thicket, placing myself beside the beast. Garrick raised an eyebrow. "The sacrifice who didn't die. Desmond will be disappointed." "Desmond is a traitor," I said, surprising myself with the firmness in my voice. "He poisoned the rightful king. He usurped the throne. And you know it." Silence fell over the clearing. The 2 warriors exchanged uncertain glances, but Garrick just laughed. "So what? Power is power, no matter how it was achieved." He took a step forward. "Now, you have a choice. Come with us quietly, and maybe Desmond will be merciful. Or resist, and I'll let my men have their fun before dragging you back." Cale positioned himself in front of me, fur bristling, teeth exposed. The message was clear. Garrick would have to go through him first. "You can't beat us," Garrick said to Cale. "It's 3 against 1, and you are weakened by the curse. I can feel it." It was true. I could see it. The subtle tremor in Cale's pause. The heavier breathing than it should be. 20 years as a beast had taken a toll. But he didn't back down. He wouldn't back down. "I'm not going with you," I said. "I'm going to find Morgana. I'm going to break the curse. And then Cale will come back and take what is his." Garrick studied my face for a long moment, looking for a bluff, finding only determination. "Morgana," he repeated slowly. "The witch is still alive? And waiting." Garrick processed this. Then he signaled his men. "Retreat." The warriors hesitated. "Sir?" "Look at him," Garrick hissed at his men. Cale, even in human form, emanated an aura of predator so dense that the warriors' horses began to rear, eyes wide with terror. The scent of a high alpha was suffocating. Garrick knew that, even wounded, Cale would take at least 2 of them to the grave before falling. It was an unnecessary tactical risk. We will not waste noble blood on a dirty hunt in the forest. Desmond will want to do this publicly. He looked at me, a cruel smile on his lips. "You only have a 3-day head start, because I need to gather the guard to ensure nothing escapes this time. Run, little mice. The cat is coming." He spun his horse and disappeared into the forest, not out of pity, but out of cold calculation. My entire body was trembling when the adrenaline wore off. Cale approached, pressing his warm muzzle against my hand. Comforting. 3 days, I whispered. "We have 3 days to reach Morgana." The beast nodded, and then something happened. His eyes closed, his whole body contracted, and for a terrified moment, I thought he was dying. But it wasn't death. It was transformation. Bones cracked, fur receded, and where there was a colossal beast, there was now a man. A ruined man. Tangled silver hair fell over a thin face. Scars covered skin that hadn't seen the sun in decades. But the eyes were the same. Golden, intense, human. "Nyla." His voice was hoarse, broken from disuse, but my name on his lips sounded like a prayer. "You can—" I couldn't finish. I was too busy crying. He was standing, human, talking, alive. "It won't last," he said, his voice laced with pain. "Minutes, maybe less. The curse." He staggered. I held him before he fell. His weight was significant, but I didn't care. "It's okay. I have you." He laughed, a bitter sound but with a trace of wonder. 20 years waiting. And now, his hand found my face, touching as if he didn't believe I was real. "You are more beautiful than I imagined." I blushed violently. "You can't even see me properly. It's dark. I saw you in the clearing, when I found you tied up." His eyes burned into mine. I thought it was a dream, a hallucination. My mind finally breaking after all this time. Tears were streaming down my face now. "I'm so sorry for what they did to you." For what Desmond... No. He pressed a gentle finger against my lips. Don't apologize for crimes you didn't commit. His body trembled, the transformation beginning to reverse. Nyla, listen. The Valley of Mist, North Passage, Morgana. She can help. But you need to. His voice failed. Fur began to sprout, bones to crackle. Kale! But it was too late. The beast was back, panting, exhausted. The few minutes of humanity had cost dearly. He collapsed onto the ground, his breathing heavy. I knelt beside him, my hands sinking into the soft fur. Rest. I'll take care of you now. His golden eyes met mine. Gratitude, trust, and something deeper that I didn't have the courage to name yet. I stayed there all night, watching while he slept, thinking about his words, about his touch, about how my name sounded in his ruined voice. He had waited 20 years, alone, cursed, hunted, and yet, when he finally found me, his first concern was whether I was okay. His first thought was to protect me. No one had ever protected me before. No one had ever looked at me the way he looked, as if I mattered, as if I were precious. When the sun rose, I was decided. 3 days. We had 3 days to reach Morgana. 3 days to break the curse. 3 days to give Kale back everything that was stolen from him. And I would not fail. I could not fail. Because for the first time in my life, someone was counting on me, and I refused to disappoint. The next 2 days were the hardest of my life. Not because of the walk, although my legs protested with every step. Not because of the cold, although the nights in the mountains cut to the bone. It was seeing Kale fight. Every few hours, the transformation took him. Involuntary. Painful. He managed to maintain human form for increasingly long minutes, but the cost was visible. Sweat pouring, muscles shaking, eyes losing focus before the beast returned. The bond is helping, he said on the second night, during one of his lucid moments. We were in a shallow cave, fire crackling between us. His voice was still hoarse, but stronger than before. Before you, I managed seconds. Now, minutes. That's good, right? I asked, trying to hide my concern. It means it's working. It means you are strong. His golden eyes studied me across the flames. True mates are rare. Most wolves spend their entire lives without finding one. And here you are, making the impossible possible. I blushed, looking away. I still wasn't used to the way he looked at me, with reverence, admiration, as if I were something precious instead of a disposable burden. Tell me, I asked, wanting to change the subject. About before, about who you were. He was silent for so long I thought he wouldn't answer. Then he began, his voice heavy with ancient memories. I was 25 when I took the throne. Young, idealistic. I thought I could change everything. End the wars between clans. Create a true alliance. A bitter smile. Desmond was my beta, my closest friend. Or so I thought. What happened? He wanted power I wasn't willing to give. He thought we should conquer the smaller clans, not negotiate with them. When I refused, Kale closed his eyes. He went to Morgana, threatened to destroy the entire coven if she didn't curse me. She had no choice. The pain in his voice was palpable. 20 years of solitude, of betrayal, of watching his kingdom be corrupted without being able to do anything. And your family? I asked gently. Parents? Siblings? Dead. The word came out harsh. Desmond ensured there were no heirs to contest his claim. I was the last. Tears burned my eyes. He had lost everything. Absolutely everything. And yet when he found me tied up in that clearing, his first instinct was to save me, to protect me. I'm so sorry, I whispered. It sounded inadequate, pathetic in the face of so much loss. But he smiled. Small, sad, but real. Don't be. You are the first good thing that has happened to me in 20 years, Nyla. The first reason to have hope. He reached out across the fire, hesitant, questioning. I took it. His fingers were rough, calloused from survival, but the touch was gentle. Warmth spread from the contact point, running up my arm, heating something deep in my chest. The bond. I could feel it now, pulsing between us like a second heart. Nyla. His voice had changed. Lower, more intense. When this is over, when the curse breaks, I won't force you into anything. The bond exists, but you can choose to reject it. Live your own life. I would understand. I looked at him, at this ruined man who still cared about my freedom, who offered a choice when he had every right to demand. What if I don't want to reject it? The words came out before I could stop them. His eyes widened, raw hope piercing his features. Nyla, you are the first person who looked at me and saw something beyond a burden, I continued, my voice trembling. The first who protected me, who trusted me, I swallowed, who made me feel that maybe I am worth something. He moved, quick for someone so exhausted. He rounded the fire and was in front of me, his hands framing my face with devastating tenderness. You are worth everything, he said. Every word weighted with certainty. You are brave, intelligent, kind even after everything you've suffered, and beautiful. His voice broke slightly, so beautiful it hurts to look at. When his lips touched mine, it was like coming home. Soft first, almost reverent, then deeper as I returned it, my hands finding his hair, pulling him closer. The bond sang between us. Recognition, acceptance, belonging. We parted only when the transformation began to take him again. His golden eyes closed in pain. Fur began to sprout. I held his hand until the beast returned, and even then, I didn't let go. I just snuggled against his warm flank and slept, safer than I had ever been in my father's house. The third day dawned misty. Literally, thick fog covered everything, so dense I could barely see 5 steps ahead. But Kale knew the way. Even as a beast, his memory of the territory was perfect. He guided me through hidden passages, skirting treacherous cliffs, until I finally saw it. The valley, hidden between mountain peaks like a guarded jewel. Ancient trees formed a protective circle, and in the center, a stone cabin from which smoke rose gently. Morgana waited for us at the door. She was older than I imagined, hair white as snow, face marked by deep wrinkles. But her eyes were young, sharp, full of contained power. 20 years, she said when we approached. Her voice was surprisingly strong. 20 years waiting for the two of you to arrive. She looked at Kale, and I saw tears glistening. Forgive me, Your Majesty. What I did to you. The beast approached, gentle, and pressed its muzzle against her hand. Forgiveness. Wordless, but clear. Morgana sobbed once, then composed herself. Come inside. We have much to do and little time. Inside, the cabin was larger than it looked. Shelves covered the walls, laden with jars, books, ingredients I didn't recognize. In the center, a circle of runes engraved on the floor. The ritual to break the curse is simple in theory, Morgana explained as she gathered materials, but it requires something that cannot be forced or faked. She looked directly at me. You must accept Kale completely, not just in words, but in soul, and he needs to accept you. Then the mark must be exchanged, under the light of the full moon. The full moon is tonight, I realized. Yes, and Desmond is on his way. Garrick warned him. My stomach plummeted. How much time do we have? Hours, maybe less. My barriers will slow them down, but not for long. She finished arranging the ingredients and turned to Kale. Can you maintain human form long enough? The beast closed its eyes. Concentration was visible, and slowly, painfully, the transformation began. Bones cracking, fur receding, until Kale was there, naked and trembling, but human. I can try, he said, his voice hoarse. Morgana nodded. Then let's begin. The ritual was intense. Morgana chanted in an ancient language as she guided us to the center of the circle. Kale and I faced each other, hands joined, while power flowed around us. Do you accept him? Morgana asked me. In all forms, man and beast, strength and weakness? I accept, I replied without hesitation. Do you accept her? To Kale. As your mate? As your equal? As your queen? I accept. His voice was firm, absolute. Always. Morgana picked up a ceremonial dagger. The mark. Both must give and receive, sealing the bond forever. Kale took the dagger first. His eyes met mine, asking permission. I nodded. The blade bit into my shoulder, a sharp pain immediately followed by warmth, power flowing through the cut, engraving a symbol that I instinctively knew. A mate's mark. Then it was my turn. My hands trembled, but Kale held them steady, guiding me. The dagger cut his skin. Blood welled up, and the moment I completed the mark, Light exploded, golden, blinding, emanating from both of us, like the sun rising at midnight. I felt the curse breaking, invisible chains that bound Cale dissolving one by one, and when the light subsided, he was there, fully human, permanently human, strong in a way he wasn't before. "It worked," Morgana whispered, tears streaming. "It really worked." Cale looked at his hands, flexed his fingers, touched his own face as if he couldn't believe it. Then he looked at me, and laughed, a sound of pure joy that echoed through the cabin and probably beyond. He picked me up in his arms, spinning, laughing, and I laughed too, for the first time in years. But the celebration was cut short. A distant sound, howls, war cries. "Desmond," Morgana said, all joy draining away. He broke the barriers. Cale put me down. All lightness disappeared, replaced by steel determination. Then let's receive him. It's time to reclaim what is mine. The howls were closer now. Morgana moved with surprising speed for her age, pulling a chest from under the bed. Inside, armor, ancient but well-preserved. Reinforced leather with metal plates engraved with protection runes. "It was your father's," she said to Cale. "I guarded it all these years, waiting." Cale touched the material with reverence. Then he put it on, each piece fitting as if it had been made for him, because it had been. Royal lineage recognizing its heir. Morgana offered a sword too. The hilt was coated in black dragon leather, insulating the metal from the skin, but the blade shone with its own light. "Forged with moon silver," she explained. "The only weapon capable of permanently wounding an alpha. The leather will protect your hand, Your Majesty, but do not touch the blade. It was made to kill monsters, not to be held by one." Cale took it, tested the weight, and for the first time, I saw in him not just the man I kissed, but the king he should have been. "Nyla," he turned to me. "Stay here, with Morgana, where it's safe." "No." The word came out before I thought. He frowned. "This is not a discussion. Desmond will have dozens of warriors, and you will face them alone?" I crossed my arms. "We just bonded. I won't let you die in the first hour." "I won't die. You're right, because I'll be there to ensure it." Our eyes locked. A battle of wills. Then, surprisingly, he chuckled. "You are stubborn. I learned out of necessity." Morgana intervened. "She is right, Your Majesty. The newly formed bond makes her stronger than a common human, and there is something she can do that you cannot." "What?" "Talk." Morgana looked at me. "The warriors who follow Desmond are not all evil. Many have been deceived. They believe the lies he told for 20 years. If they hear the truth, from the mouth of a marked mate, some may hesitate. And hesitation in battle is everything," Cale completed slowly. He studied me for a long moment, then sighed. "Stay behind me. Always." We stepped out of the cabin into the night illuminated by the full moon. The same moonlight that had broken the curse now revealed the approaching army. Torches dotted the valley slope like a constellation of fire. Dozens of warriors, perhaps 50. And in front, mounted on a black horse, was Desmond. He stopped when he saw us. Even at a distance, I could see shock cross his face. He didn't expect Cale human. He didn't expect the complete transformation. "Impossible," his voice echoed across the valley. "The curse was permanent." Morgana swore. "Morgana left an out," Cale replied, his voice carrying with royal authority. "As every wise witch does. And my mate found it." He took a step forward. "It's over, Desmond. 20 years of lies, of tyranny. They end tonight." Desmond recovered quickly. The shock gave way to cold calculation. "You are still outnumbered. A king without an army is not a king. He is a corpse waiting to happen. Then let's see how many of your army are still yours." Cale looked at me, nodding. I took a deep breath and stepped forward. My voice trembled at first, but strengthened as I spoke. "Warriors of Winterborn, you follow a liar, a traitor. Desmond did not conquer the throne. He stole it through dark magic and murder." Murmurs among the soldiers, some exchanging uncertain glances. "Lie," Desmond roared. "She is bewitched by the beast." "I am the marked mate of King Cale Winterborn," I interrupted, pulling my collar to reveal the fresh mark on my shoulder. "Bound under the full moon, with the testimony of Morgana, guardian of the Northern Coven. And I carry the truth in my blood. Morgana joined us. Her hands glowed with bluish power. Do you want proof? Then see. She traced runes in the air, and images began to form. Memories, projected for all to see. Young Desmond entering Morgana's chamber, threatening, demanding. The coven surrounded by warriors. Morgana crying as she cast the curse. Kale writhing, transforming, being dragged into the forest while Desmond smiled. No! Desmond spurred his horse forward, trying to disperse the images, but it was too late. The warriors had seen. 20 years of lies collapsing in seconds. He betrayed the king, someone whispered. He betrayed us all. Silence! Desmond shouted. They are illusions, a witch's tricks. But the doubt was planted. I saw it in their expressions, in the way some backed away, in the hesitation where before there was blind obedience. Kale seized the moment. He stepped forward, removing the armor from his left shoulder, revealing a mark I hadn't seen before. A complex symbol, a triple moon intertwined with a howling wolf. The royal mark, someone gasped. Only the true lineage carries it. I am Kale Winterborn, his voice thundered across the valley. Son of Aldrich, grandson of Fenris, rightful heir to the throne this worm usurped, and I am claiming what is mine. Absolute silence. Then, a warrior knelt. Then another, and another. Like falling dominoes, soldiers abandoned Desmond, recognizing the true king. In seconds, only a handful remained beside the usurper. Garrick among them. It seems your army has shrunk, Kale said, almost casual. Desmond was livid, fury distorting his features. Do you think that changes anything? I am still Alpha, stronger than you ever were. Then prove it. Kale raised his sword. Single duel. As tradition demands, winner takes all. It was risky. Desmond had 20 years of continuous training. Kale had 20 years as a beast. Muscles atrophied in human form, his body still adjusting to the transformation. But I saw determination in his eyes, and something more, certainty. Desmond dismounted, drew his own sword. When I kill you, I will claim your mate as a trophy. Seems fair, doesn't it? You took 20 years of peace from me. I'll take your eternity of love. Kale didn't answer with words. He just attacked. The duel was brutal. Desmond was technical, every blow precise, trained by fencing masters. But Kale fought like something primal. He used the sword not to duel, but as an extended claw. 20 years as a beast had rewritten his reflexes. He parried the blows with the blade, but attacked with his body, shoulders, headbutts, low and unpredictable movements. He didn't seek the elegance of the human form. He brought the brutality of the forest to the steel. Blood was shed. On both sides. Cuts accumulated. But Kale didn't slow down. If anything, he became fiercer. And then, an opening. Desmond attacked too high. Kale spun, and his blade found the usurper's flank. Deep, fatal. Desmond fell to his knees, blood gushing, eyes wide with shock. How? He gasped. You should be weak. I survived 20 years in a body that wasn't mine, Kale said, standing over him. I hunted for food. I fought predators. I endured cold, hunger, loneliness. Do you think your heated halls made you stronger than that? He raised the sword for the final blow, and stopped. Death would be too easy, he said slowly. You stole 20 years of my life. You deserve to feel the same. He looked at Garrick, who had knelt with the others. Take him. Exile him to the frozen lands. No pack, no protection. Let him survive alone as I survived. Garrick hesitated. Your Majesty, he might return. Then let him return. Kale looked at me. I will have my queen by my side, my kingdom restored, and this time I will be prepared. Desmond was dragged away, shouting threats that no one listened to anymore. And when he finally silenced, when the warriors knelt in reverence, Kale turned to me, tired, bleeding, but smiling. It's over, he said. It's truly over. I ran into his arms. I didn't care about the blood or the sweat or the warriors watching. I just held him, feeling his heart beating, heat radiating. Life. He was alive, free, and mine. Let's go home, he whispered against my hair. You deserve a real throne. And for the first time, the word didn't scare me. Home. I finally had one. The journey back to the castle took a week, not because it was far, but because Cale insisted on stopping in every village, every camp, every community we encountered. He wanted to be seen. He wanted his people to know that the true king had returned, and he wanted to listen. 20 years of stories, 20 years of suffering under Desmond's rule, 20 years of injustices that he swore to correct. I walked by his side at every stop, not behind, beside. He insisted on it. "You are my queen," he said, the first time I tried to position myself in the shadows, old habits dying hard. "Your place is here, with me, always." People greeted us with a mixture of shock and joy. Some older ones cried upon seeing Cale, remembering the young king they had lost. Others, younger, just listened to the stories, eyes wide with disbelief. The beast that terrorized the forests was their rightful king? The curse was real? The alpha they revered was a traitor? It was a lot to process. But the royal mark on his shoulder didn't lie. And the mate mark on mine didn't either. Living proof that miracles happened. We arrived at the castle on the 7th day. It was larger than I imagined. Dark stone towers rising against the sky. Walls that had seen centuries of history. And at the entrance, waiting, was a crowd. Warriors who had ridden ahead to spread the news. Curious servants. Nervous nobles. And I realized with a tightening in my stomach, my family. Tobias was pale. Giselle, even paler. Vera, my half-sister, cried silently, but I saw something different in her eyes. Not fear. Relief. Cale dismounted first, then helped me down. His hand remained in mine as we walked through the gates. A silent declaration. The murmur of the crowd grew as we passed. "It's her," someone whispered. "The Omega who was sacrificed. The one who saved the king." Saved the king. The words echoed strangely. Me? Saving someone? 3 weeks ago, I was disposable trash. Now, Cale squeezed my hand, feeling my uncertainty through the bond. "You belong here," he murmured. "Never doubt that." The coronation was scheduled for the next day. Morgana arrived in the evening, brought in a special carriage that Cale sent. She would be the officiant, the only person alive with the spiritual authority to crown both king and queen. That night, while the castle buzzed with preparations, I had time to think, to process, to prepare for something I never imagined facing: my family. Cale found me on the balcony of the room we now shared, the royal chamber, with a bed larger than any room I had ever inhabited, with windows that looked out over the entire kingdom. "You're nervous," he said, not asked. The bond made it difficult to hide emotions. Tomorrow I'll have to face them. Tobias, Giselle, after everything they did. "You don't have to do anything you don't want to," Cale said gently. "Say the word, and I'll exile them along with Desmond." I considered it. For a delicious moment I imagined Giselle in the frozen lands, her fine clothes torn by the biting wind. Tobias crawling for food as I crawled so many times. But then I shook my head. No, that would make me the same as them. I turned to face him. "I want justice, not revenge." He smiled, pride warming his golden eyes. "Wise beyond your years, my queen." He pulled me into his arms, his chin resting on the top of my head. "What do you want to do with them?" I thought, truly thought, about years of neglect, about the coldness in their eyes when they tied me up, about Vera, the only one who cried. Giselle and Tobias lose everything: titles, properties, privileges. They will work as common servants, feel what they made me feel for 23 years. I took a deep breath. But Vera stays. She was a child when all this happened, and she was the only one who showed kindness. Done. Just like that. No questioning. No bargaining. Cale simply accepted my decision as if it were law. Because, I slowly realized, it was. I was queen now. My words had weight. The coronation happened at noon. High sun illuminating the great hall where generations of kings had been crowned before. I wore a dress that Morgana had conjured. Silver and blue, the colors of the Winterborn house, hair braided with real silver threads, and around my neck, an ancient necklace that had belonged to Cale's mother. "She would have loved you," he whispered when he gave it to me. "I'm sure." The ceremony was long, formal, full of traditions I barely understood. But Morgana guided me through every step with infinite patience. Oaths were made. Crowns were placed. And when Kale and I turned to face our people for the first time as king and queen, the roar of approval shook the walls. Afterward came the part I feared, the audience, where petitions were heard and justice was dispensed. Kale let me conduct the first case. My family. They were brought in chained, not out of necessity but tradition. Criminals before the crown. Tobias didn't look at me. He kept his eyes on the floor, shoulders slumped in shame. Giselle, however, glared at me with defiance. Even now, even defeated, her pride was unshakable. Tobias and Giselle, my voice echoed through the hall, surprisingly firm. You are accused of cruel neglect, of handing over a blood daughter to certain death, of conspiring with the usurper Desmond. We had orders, Giselle spat. The Alpha commanded. The Alpha was a traitor, I cut in. And you knew it. Everyone knew that sending an unarmed Omega into a forbidden forest was a death sentence. You simply didn't care. Silence fell over the hall. I saw faces in the crowd, some ashamed, others relieved not to be in the dock. My sentence is as follows. I took a deep breath. All titles and properties of your house are confiscated. You will live as common servants for the next 10 years, working, serving, learning what it means to be invisible. Giselle opened her mouth to protest, but Tobias silenced her with a look. For the first time, he faced me, and I saw something in his eyes I had never seen before. Recognition. Of the daughter he ignored for 23 years. Of the woman she had become despite him. And Vera? He asked, his voice hoarse. I looked at my half-sister, 15 years old, scared, but with kindness in her eyes that Giselle never managed to completely erase. Vera stays at the castle, as my apprentice. She will have education, opportunity, everything that was denied to me. Vera sobbed, with relief, with gratitude, with emotions too big for her small body to contain. Thank you, she whispered. Sister, sister. The word hit me with unexpected force. I had never been called that before. Take the prisoners, Kale ordered. The audience is adjourned. When the hall emptied, when we were finally alone, he pulled me into his arms. You were magnificent. I was terrified. It didn't show. He kissed my forehead. You were born for this, Nyla. To lead, to heal, to transform pain into wisdom. Maybe he was right, or maybe I was just beginning to believe that I deserved good things. Either way, as the sun set on our first day as rulers, I felt something I had never felt before. Peace. Complete. Absolute. I had found my place. Beside a king who saw me. On a throne that belonged to me. With a future that I myself was building. And that, I realized, was the greatest miracle of all. 6 months later, I woke up to sunlight streaming through the curtains and Kale's hand resting protectively on my rounded belly. Pregnant. 4 months. The news had spread through the kingdom like wildfire, bringing a week-long celebration. An heir, hope, future. I turned carefully not to wake him, watching his relaxed face in sleep. The scars were still there, marks of 20 years of survival, but the lines of pain around his eyes had softened. He smiled more now. He laughed. He lived instead of just surviving. I'm awake, he mumbled without opening his eyes, and I feel you watching me. You are beautiful. Forgive me for appreciating it. He chuckled, that low, warm sound that made my heart race. He opened his eyes, golden in the morning light. How are you feeling? His hand gently stroked my belly. Did our little wolf let you sleep? Kicked all night, I admitted. I think he inherited your energy, or your stubbornness. He kissed my forehead, which is infinitely more likely. We stayed like that for a while longer, just existing together, before duty called. There was a kingdom to govern, people to serve, but these stolen moments, just the two of us, were sacred. When we finally got up and dressed, Vera was waiting with breakfast. She had blossomed in recent months. No longer the shy, scared girl. Now she studied politics, history, even basic combat training. She was becoming a force in her own right. Your Majesties, she gave a slight bow. The council is assembled, and there are visitors. Visitors? Kale frowned. We weren't expecting anyone. I know, but they insisted it was urgent. We exchanged glances. Then we followed Vera to the council hall, and when we entered, I froze. There, standing among the counselors, were Tobias and Giselle, 6 months of work as servants had changed both of them. Tobias was thinner, shoulders slumped from manual labor. Giselle had lost her polished sheen, her hands calloused. But it wasn't them that made me stop. It was the expression on their faces. Genuine humility. Nyla, Tobias spoke first. My name. Not girl or Omega or any of the 1,000 degrading things he used to use. Your Majesty, Cale corrected dryly. Forgive me, Your Majesty. Tobias swallowed. We came to request an audience. To talk. I looked at Cale, who nodded. Permission. Speak. Tobias looked at Giselle, who for the first time since I met her, looked small, diminished. We spent 6 months in the lowest levels, she began, her voice lacking the usual arrogant tone. Cleaning, serving, being invisible, as I was for 23 years, I said calmly. Yes, the word came out broken. As you were, because of us. She breathed shakily. I didn't come to ask for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just came to say, I see it now. What we did, how much it hurt, and I am sorry. They were just words, but something in the way she said it, with downcast eyes and a broken voice, sounded true. Tobias took a step forward. I failed you, as a father, as a protector. I let the bitterness over your mother's death blind me to the daughter in front of me. His hands trembled. You deserved love, protection, and I gave you only pain. I will never forgive myself, but I hoped that, maybe, one day, he didn't finish. He didn't need to. I looked at them, at the man who should have protected me, at the woman who tortured me for years, and I felt nothing. Not anger, not pain, just old weariness. What do you want? I asked. A reduction in sentence? No, Tobias said quickly. We don't want anything. Just, we wanted you to know that we understand now what we lost, who you have become, and if we could go back. But you can't, I completed. No, but we can move forward, trying to be better. He looked at my belly. And perhaps, when your son is born, we can be the grandparents we never were parents. The request surprised me. Cale tensed beside me, ready to refuse, but I put my hand on his arm, stopping him. I don't know, I said honestly. I don't know if I can have you in my child's life. I don't know if I trust you near him. I saw pain cross Tobias's face, but he nodded. We understand, and we will respect your decision. But, I continued, I know I carried anger for a long time, and I don't want to carry it forever. I don't want my son to grow up feeling my hatred. I took a deep breath. So this is what I offer. Finish your sentence. All 10 years. Prove that you have changed not with words, but with actions. And then, maybe, just maybe, we can try. Thank you, Giselle whispered. Thank you for not giving up on us completely. They were dismissed, and when they left, I allowed myself to lean slightly against Cale. Did I do the right thing? You did what your heart told you, he said, and that is always right. In the following months, the kingdom flourished. Laws that Desmond had implemented to benefit nobles at the expense of commoners were reversed. Trade with neighboring clans was re-established. The Forbidden Forest was reopened, no longer home to a beast, but a protected sanctuary. And I grew, not just in body carrying life, but in confidence, in purpose. Vera became my shadow, learning everything I taught her. Morgana visited regularly, guiding me through the pregnancy with centuries of wisdom. And Cale never left my side. Protector, mate, love. The baby was born on a full moon night. Fitting, Morgana said. Appropriate that new life should enter the world under the same moon that broke the curse. It was a boy, strong, healthy, with golden eyes like his father and a cry that echoed through the castle like a declaration. Cale held him with hands that trembled with awe. He is perfect, he whispered, tears streaming freely, just like his mother. I looked at them, my king, my son, my family, and I realized that I had traveled an impossible journey, from sacrificial lamb to crowned queen, from invisible to indispensable, from broken to whole. Weeks after the birth, there was a celebration in the castle garden, the entire kingdom invited to meet the heir. And as I stood there, holding my son, Cale at my side, Vera laughing with other young women, even Tobias and Giselle watching from a respectful distance with something that looked like hope, I understood. The curse wasn't just Kale's. It was mine, too. 23 years believing I was disposable, unworthy, less. But Kale saw me, chose me, loved me back to life. And by healing him, I healed myself. What are you thinking about? Kale asked, watching my face. That I was sent to die in the forest so a man could hide his secrets, I replied. But the forest didn't kill me. It saved me. Because in it, I found you. And I found you. He kissed my temple. My savior. My queen. My Nyla. Our son chose that moment to wake up, golden eyes blinking open, searching, finding us, recognizing, and smiling. That first baby smile that melts hearts. Welcome to the world, little wolf, I whispered. You were born of a broken curse and earned love, and you will grow up in a kingdom where no one is invisible, where everyone matters. Kale squeezed my hand. Where everyone is seen. And as the sun set over our kingdom, over our people, over our family, I didn't feel fear of the future, only hope, because I had learned the most important truth. Monsters are not always what they seem. Sometimes beasts are kings waiting for someone brave enough to see beyond appearances, and sometimes sacrificial lambs become queens. All they need is a chance, and love, and faith that they deserve both. I had them, and it changed everything. Thank you for being here and for joining me for another story. I truly hope you enjoyed it. If you want, leave your comment. I love reading what you feel and think after each episode. Thank you for the love, and see you in the next story.